All right, here's the Week 18 injuries we're tracking for Saturday. We'll start with Saturday. Chase Brown with that ankle injury is questionable. T. Higgins dealing with both an ankle and knee injury. He's questionable. Justice Hill's out with a concussion. Jerome Ford has been ruled out with an ankle injury. David Njoku has been ruled out with a knee injury in a game where the Ravens are around 17 to 18-point favorites. The Sunday injuries we're tracking. This list is obviously longer with more games. Anthony Richardson with the back injury. Tua Tagovailoa with the hip injury. He's been limited this week. When they speak of him, they haven't been very optimistic. That could very well be a Snoop Huntley game against the Jets. Aaron Jones with a quad injury. Alvin Kamara with a groin injury. Kamara has not practiced all week. Aaron Jones has been limited. Tony Pollard with the ankle. He's been limited, but it's been the case for Tony Pollard really the second half of the season. Amir Abdullah has a foot injury. He hasn't practiced this week. Malik Neighbors, he's been limited with a toe injury, but Neighbors has been dealing with multiple lower body injuries much of the season and has been able to gut through on game day. Drake London has been limited with a knee injury. Ladd McConkey has been limited with a toe injury. George Kittle dealing with both ankle and hamstring injuries, but another guy that is often limited throughout the week and finds a way to play. But a trickle effect of that, Jay, is that Brock Purdy is not expected to play Week 18, and obviously a lot of concerns around maybe the long term of this injury for Purdy.
Yeah, it's not great. It's been a rough year for Purdy, who has had some really high highs and has shown different elements to his game. He's moving around more, using his legs, but he has dealt with injuries this year. Obviously, he had the elbow injury in the NFC title game against the Eagles, so some concerns there. So it looks like it'll be the Josh Dobbs show. Do you think that Dobbs has any chance to kind of elevate his standing, or is he just constantly going to be a backup quarterback?
I think he's probably locked in as a backup quarterback. It feels like he has these big spark moments because of the nature of his play style, but this goes back to what you just said about Drew Lock. Like, all of these guys, Josh Dobbs, Drew Lock, Carson Wentz, they're playing, Jimmy Garoppolo, they're playing to get into a quarterback competition next summer. Not be given anything, but be once again looked at as a guy, hey, get into summer, see what we have, and compete.
Josh Dobbs will, probably be a type of guy where you could trust him for a few games. The reason why I wouldn't predict him doing something like Sam Darnold is because, one, you got to string those type of games together. Sam Darnold is still a former #1 overall pick. So if he plays 5 good games in a row to start the season like he did, you're like, okay, we got something going. If you're Josh Dobbs, you can't have 3 good games and have 1 or 2 bad games after that, because then it's like, oh, all right. That's why we see you as like a top-tier backup more so as a potential starter.
Some other news here, guys. The Cardinals placed James Conner on IR. Cris Olave, who's had a serious concussion for a long time now, he was a full participant in Thursday's practice.
How are they doing that?
I hope he doesn't play.
Yeah.
It's one of those where, like,
no need.
There's just no need. Let's get Cris Olave right and healthy for next season. But it's good to see him at least practicing in full. Obviously, if you're missing some players and you're still playing Week 18, or you're looking for some DFS strategies, some top waiver ads. These are players available in at least 50% of the leagues. Joe Flacco, of course, he's got Jacksonville. That's why he's a top 15 play. Tyler Huntley against the Jets, right outside of the top 15. Michael Carter, who obviously gets touches in that Arizona backfield when both Connor and Benson, one of the two or both, are hurt. He's a top 15 play. Blake Corum should get a heavy workload against Seattle. Alexander Madison, we talked about how Amir Abdullah hasn't practiced this week. Jalen McMillan's been a bigger part of the Bucs offense. Marvin Mims has been a bigger part of the Broncos offense. Brandon Cooks against the Commanders, as CeeDee Lamb has been shut down for the year. Chika Okonkwo has a rapport with Mason Rudolph, and Jawan Johnson against the Bucs in a pretty barren wasteland at tight end.
Hey, it's Matthew Berry from NBCSports.com and Rotoworld.com, and I want to thank you so much for watching whatever it is you just watched, or if nothing else, being too lazy to click out of the autoplay after this video started, after whatever it is you actually wanted to watch finished. But now that you're here, I'd like to take a moment here to ask you respectfully now, okay? I'm asking you respectfully to subscribe to the NFL on NBC YouTube channel. You'll get the latest Roto-World fantasy news headlines, all sorts of great shows, including my own Fantasy Football Happy Hour. So go subscribe now. Again, I'm asking respectfully.